And this is what you do for fun.
It's a mystery. Who is this man? Who killed him? Where's the money he was talking about? It's a mystery. Now we have to go search for clues.
Ah, and that's fun.
That's fun.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, Teen G Podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are huge Star Trek nerds, and Dory is a Star Trek novice, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. Today we're talking about the Season 4 episode Clues, original air date February 9th, 1991, and as always we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay, so we start out, they finished a mission early and Picard grants everyone some more personal time. So we cut to Worf, Riker, Geordi, and Troy doing Tai Chi, maybe?
They're doing Klingon Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cute.
Yeah, I think it's referred to as Worf's calisthenics program, but they don't really give it a name. I don't think. I could be wrong on that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Cute. Well, I like it. And then Dr. C is doing something with plastic spheres, which we do learn about later. Picard is in the holodeck, which gave me some enjoyment. I was excited because we haven't done a holodeck shit in a while. And he's doing the Dixon Hill program with Guinan. And Guinan comes in, looks incredible. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. She's wearing this amazing suit. A green suit, and she's got this fun hat. She's got like a long fur and white sunglasses. I want those sunglasses. Then she says that her name is Gloria from Cleveland. And she has an appointment, but Madeline the secretary does not give a shit.
Fun fact, that's the same Madeline the secretary that they had the first time they did the Dixon Hill program. They actually managed to get her back.
Oh, nice.
Continuity.
Ooh. So Guinan also doesn't give a shit, so she goes into the office, and somebody named Johnny is pointing a gun at Picard, who Picard does a questionable accent during this scene, but I'll allow it, I guess. So like Johnny is saying something that like somebody stole his money. I don't care. It's not important. But then Johnny gets gunned down by a machine gun or something from the window, so like rip to him, I guess.
Rip Johnny.
So then Guinan and Picard crawl to the body, and Guinan's like, this is fun. And Picard's like, oh yeah, now we look for clues.
I love how excited he is about explaining what it is that they're actually doing. He's like, look, now we have to look for clues. And he almost has like a giddy mannerism about his voice, and it's very amusing.
Yeah. So then the phone rings, and it's Data. Data thought it'd be like more sense to like call Picard like through the holodeck. It would like stick with the.
So basically, Picard is getting a call on his Android phone.
Yeah. Oh.
Booyah.
That I got a nice laugh out of. So basically, the long-range sensors detect a T-Tauri type star within a pocket of the Nagame cloud, whatever. Star's single planet falls within the M-class range. It is capable of supporting life. This is unusual, apparently. I don't know what any of this means. I don't care. Then a wormhole pops up or something. That's what I wrote. Riker's like, let's go somewhere safer. But then, just kidding, too late. The wormhole sucks him in. And then everybody is just out cold except for Data. And, we're told that it's been 30 seconds since everyone's been out. But Data lets us know this is his third wormhole. And they are now 0.54 parsecs from the original position. Nearly a day's travel in 30 seconds. But everybody seems to be okay, but Troy is feeling unfocused. O'Brien is in sickbay. He who cares? No, I'm kidding. No, he was hanging a plant for Keiko, and then he fell or hurt himself, whatever. Yeah. Dr. C's spheres have red stuff in them now, which alarms her. And so now there's a probe that shows that planet is not an M-class planet. Riker thinks this is all sketchy, but Picard calls it a minor mystery. They say minor mystery so many times in this episode that I think we should call this episode a minor mystery. So, meep. Dr. C shows Picard the red stuff, which is called the Diamedia Scarlet Moss.
It's some kind
really
of plant.
doesn't matter what it's called.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a 95% chance I pronounced it wrong, but... And also, okay, tiniest sidebar. I really missed Picard and Dr. C scenes, and so them hanging out, well, very briefly. This scene just made me happy. We haven't gotten a scene with them, like, in a long time.
Yeah.
It was cute. I liked it. So the reason that she's showing him the plants is because they show 24 plus hours of growth. So that's, like, questionable. I don't know. They talk about this thing of, like, 22nd century guy stuff happens in a wormhole. The science in this loses me. Anyways.
The science is kind of supposed to lose you because the whole point in what Data is saying is that it's far-fetched at best.
Yeah. So, like, immediately, Picard's, like, suspicious of Data pretty quickly. And Data says it's been 30 seconds, but Picard's like, Geordi, do you believe Data? And Data's like, if it's been a day, why didn't our beards grow? Geordi asking the important questions. But I don't know, I just was like, why would Data lie? But also, like, if he is lying, like, I have an issue with this episode, but we'll get to it later. So Geordi will check the computers, chrometer, and Dr. C will check the transporter trace analysis to see how much time has passed. They don't want Data to be aware of their suspicions. Whatever. Dr. C investigates, asks O'Brien who the last person who used the transporter prior to the wormhole. It is Ensign Lachlan. Send her to sickbay. So Dr. C, okay. Dr. C, I love you, but, like, this internal clock nonsense, I can't. That she can, like, talking about the internal clock, but, like, literal, so, like, you can check someone's internal clock molecularly. Listen, I don't know if this is something that's, like, possible.
No,
but I don't.
Not.
It sounds dumb. Because, like, I admittedly don't know much about science, and but this just sounds like you're literally taking the internal clock literally, and it just sounds dumb. But I'll allow it because I like Dr. C. So basically, they are able to conclude they were out for much longer than 30 seconds, basically a day. Computer program was disabled and a new one was put in place. Someone reset the clock. Gasp. Only Geordi and Data are capable of doing that. Data consents to be assessed by Geordi. And I honestly could not, I was, like, surprised that, like, how quick Geordi, like, would suspected Data was, like, up to something, but nothing is wrong with Data. And then Data launched the probe, which discovered it wasn't an M-class planet. So, what? Oh, God, this is also convoluted and, like, it's a mystery, but not even a fun one. So Picard suggests go back to, like, what they were doing prior to the wormhole, and I was like, you did, like, you guys woke up. Yeah. Technically, so what would you need to, like, retrace your step for? Just go on the bridge. That's it. That's where you were, Picard. That seems dumb. So Troy, like, kind of winces. She feels dizzy. So Worf escorts her to her quarters, and then she screams. And that honestly, like, scared me. Not like a jump scare, but I was like, oh my God, what the fuck's wrong? Somebody go to her right away. So Worf gets in there, and Troy saw her face in the mirror, but it wasn't her inside.
Whoa.
She actually, when she's being looked at by Dr. C, Troy says, I looked into the mirror and it seemed a stranger was staring back at me from behind my own eyes as if my face was a mask. And I just was like, okay, Mulan. This is literally, it's like almost the lyrics to Reflection from Mulan.
I just want to bring up something regarding this. So, like, we all know where the episode is going, and I assume everybody who is listening to us kind of knows where the episode is going, but
They don't, because I know for a fact we have people who do not watch the episodes. They just listen to our podcast.
Okay, well, in that case, remember this trauma right here, because this is really serious trauma, and the end of the episode does not resolve it. And I'll explain why that's a big problem when we get to the twist. So anyway, continue.
Yeah, so I guess we know where Mulan got their inspiration for the song Reflection, because literally those are the lyrics. But yeah, that must have been fucking terrifying for Troy. I just hate seeing Troy in pain.
Yeah.
Can we just like fucking stop
No.
giving her pain?
Unfortunately, they don't.
Christ. Then Worf goes to sickbay and he's holding his wrist. Dr. C's like, "What's up, Worf?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing." And he tries to leave. And then he's like, "A warrior does not complain about physical discomfort. But the captain ordered us to report anything out of the ordinary." So apparently Worf's wrist was like broken and then fixed, but within like that day, the mystery day. Gasp. So Picard shows Data a photo of a green planet, and Data's like, "Yeah, that's the planet we saw earlier." And Geordi's like, "Actually, it's not. It's a completely different planet."
Oh, snap.
And so Picard's like, "Data, did you change the image?" And Data cannot confirm or deny. So Geordi's like, "I'll send my own probe." And Picard is like, "Jesus fucking Christ, Data, you're not giving me the answers I need to solve this dumb mystery." And Data's like, "I'm sorry to hear that, but I can't really do anything about that at the moment." Picard's like, "Would you rather endanger Troy than tell him what's going on?" And Data's like, "Is one life more important than the entire crew?" You guys, Christ, I hate this. And then,
I mean, is it?
no.
That's right,
but,
because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Spock.
yeah,
I
I don't
there.
disagree. I love Troy.
Yeah.
So Data is now, he's technically accused of falsifying the Enterprise's records, interfering with an investigation, of disobeying a direct order from a commanding officer. If Data is court-martialed, his career at Starfleet is over, and would be stripped down to his wires to find out what has gone wrong.
That line really bugged me.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Because it's like, you'll be essentially killed for this.
Yeah, it was definitely not a good choice, that line in general. I get what they meant by it, but it really, in hindsight, actually, no, not even in hindsight, within the context of what has already been established for Data, it was not cool. Like, there are episodes that quite literally defend his right to bodily autonomy. So, making a line like that is just like, "No, sorry, we do own you." The end.
Yeah. This is when they're like, "Oh, okay, Worf's wrist was broken and then fixed." And then Worf's like, "Data is one of the few people who could do that." As it turns out, this is in fact wrong. But it is wild. Everybody just like immediately jumps to thinking like that Data has nefarious purposes or something, which is infuriated me. So like then Picard's like, maybe Data is withholding information to protect them. And then they find the planet from before. There is no wormhole. And Picard's like, there was never a wormhole to start. It was a ruse designed to throw us off the trace. And his clues are Dr. C's incubation experiment, the computer clock, the transporter trace, all indicate the existence of a missing day. Worf's broken wrist could indicate they were awake for the day, possibly a struggle for their lives. So, from Data's behavior, they didn't win, but maybe a tie? Or stalemate? I just thought tie sounds funnier.
Data's not wearing a tie.
And maybe them not knowing about the deal could be part of it. Riker's like, maybe we should leave it alone then.
Yeah.
And then, but if they don't figure it out, how could Starfleet ever trust Data again? So then they go back to the scene of the crime. Shields up, weapons ready. A green smoky energy field between the planet and the Enterprise is there.
That is a bad looking energy field.
Yeah, it looks like Like, you know, in like cartoons and stuff, when somebody farts, like a green like puff of something. That's,
You know, you're not wrong.
that's what it made me think of. Like, ooh, that's a stinky area. Oh yeah. Okay. So the shields are up. The energy pulse from the thing hits it. Nothing really happens. But then the smoky fart goes into Troy, and she's possessed, and I hate it. So she goes to Data and is like, you guys came into their space again. The Enterprise. Then Data's like, yeah, the Enterprise shouldn't be blown up though. And then Data's like, we should listen, Picard, we got to go. And his silence is not by choice. Picard is being very creepy calm. It's honestly a little unsettling. And then possessed Troy comes in, and Data admits to Picard that Picard told him to lie. And then the energy field starts approaching, and this is a group called the Paxons. They cannot stop their takeover, but they can delay it with their shields.
The Bill Paxton.
Yeah,
Bill
the Bill
Paxtons.
The Bill Paxtons like to live alone, and they don't want to be known about or whatever. And I don't care. And so
I would like to point out that in a better Star Trek episode, the entire concept of a race that is xenophobic would be like a controversial moment that they would spend the entire episode debating on whether or not that is the good cause to have. But here it was just, no, that's the plot. Let's just leave them alone. Bye.
Yeah. So, like, the wormhole is basically a trap for intruders, and the energy field, like, stuns everybody on board the invading vessel and places them in a state of biochemical stasis. And then Geordi, of course, has to say, oh, that explains why our beards didn't grow. Bringing it back full circle, Geordi. Thanks. So then the Paxons take the ship out of the territory and then moving on. So Data was not affected by the stun, so he initiates this emergency plan ZZ Alpha, and he revives the crew with some kind of chemical shit and the vents, I don't know, the air supply. So everybody wakes up, and the Paxons get through and the shields and take control of Troy's body. That was the first time around, and to communicate, and Worf runs to Troy. Jumps over the side, and Troy just breaks his wrists and throws him very casually tosses him to the side. And
yeah, they could have redone that shot several times and they chose not to, but
no, but I don't think they should have. It was perfect. I rewatched it. I love Worf, and I never want to see him get hurt, but the way that she just tosses him to the side was very funny to me. I rewatched it a couple of times. So basically, the Paxons are like, we'll fucking end you because you now know about us. But Picard's like, or we could erase our memory. We could, you guys can do your stun shit, and we can, try again, and just, pretend we don't know not pretend, but Data will listen to my command and, not remember shit or not tell anybody. And, the rest of us won't remember. It'll be fine. It'll be totally cool. And then they're like, yeah, sure, it'll take them 1 day to reset everything. So great. But the problem was, they left. So Picard in the current time was here's where everybody went wrong. You guys left too many fucking clues behind. Well, not them, the crew did.
Yeah. And
Data did. So it's the people need to solve mysteries. This is so...
It is a really flimsy excuse for the human need to learn all about what's around us. Which is too bad because I like how they go about the episode, but I mean,
it's a very anticlimactic
I think
conclusion.
The way it's explained is kind of dumb, but I don't necessarily disagree, because I feel if something suspicious was going on, we wouldn't be able to leave it alone. People would want to figure it out.
No, I don't disagree with that. I just think this story is dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's that the justification that they end up using for it in the end is something that is not well explored, something that is not well justified, and why wouldn't these guys just kill them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't really say why they won't just do that and instead go to all the effort to help them.
Oh, they kind of do. So basically how this ends is that Picard is like, listen, give us another chance. We'll remove all the clues now that we know what the clues are. We'll start over. And they're like, you can't really get rid of us, because if we are like destroyed, the Starfleet will send more ships to find us, and then you will be likely discovered again by more people. So they were like, that is a point.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So then got to turn it over because I wrote in the margins, because God forbid I start a new page. So now we like start over, take 2. They wake up, and then Picard's like, maybe we should go check out that planet that we were looking at before. And Data's like, or we could like not look at it, as it's dumb and boring and who cares, and let's move on. And they could send out a probe instead. Just, whatever. Nothing's happening there. Nothing interesting. What? Okay, what? Bye.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. Here's my how many episodes have we had at this point where people are suspicious that Data has done something wrong, but he really hasn't? And like, how do they not like think about this shit? Like, why would they think that Data would betray them or do something like on his own, like volition to harm someone like this? And this is like, how many times has this happened already?
Because the episode wants us to think that.
It's so dumb, though, because, like, we know what Data is like. We know that Data is not going to do anything. Like, he's not going to go rogue. The only reason he's going to lie or do something is because he was ordered by Picard to do this. He's not, like... And how do they not fucking realize this yet?
I mean, we have had talks before about how...
It is suspicious behavior, though.
Yeah. One of the major problems that Star Trek has as a science fiction is that it is profoundly anti-technology in so many ways. And like, this is definitely a good example of that, but it's also one of the very common tropes within drama to take one of your main characters and be like, oh, are they actually betraying you? Is something going on? And then just adding some suspicion to it. So like, I feel like it's a combination of both of those things, more the latter than the former, obviously, but Star Trek has definitely established many times over that you should not inherently trust technology.
It also, though, feels like they only do this with Data. Like, they only suspect Data's done something sketchy. There's never, like, anybody else is like, what are they up to? Like, nobody ever does anything sketchy except Data, apparently.
Oh, no, there are other
like,
things. Don't worry. Just trust me. Trust me.
I'm frustrated because we know, and like, if we know, they fucking know that like Data's not gonna do shit unless there's like a really good reason for it.
God, wait until you meet Rolaren.
Also, there's like, so at the beginning of like when they do the flashback, right? Like, Data suggests like, listen, like, if you want us to leave you alone, like, we'll leave you alone. Like, we'll order everyone not to talk about this. Like, with our hierarchy and stuff, everyone will listen. And the entity that's in Troy is like, oh, how can you guarantee the silence of every single person? So they're obviously okay with, because no one ever explains like to them that Data is an android and he's like basically like almost physically incapable of disobeying Picard's orders. So why couldn't they just leave Picard and Data in the know, and then Picard would have known what happened and he could have just been like, listen, we're not going to investigate this shit. We're just going to go about our day and leave it alone.
Or he leaves a note for himself. I don't know. I feel like there's a billion things he could have done.
Yeah.
That, like, because it's not like the Bill Paxtons could like check the like computer shit or like look and find everybody's quarters, and like if like told Data to like leave, and if it took like a day, then like they weren't awake for the whole day, clearly. So they were asleep for, I would guess, a good chunk of the day. So Data was just fucking around. So why wouldn't Picard, because Picard was awake when they were like, oh, we'll need the day to like do this. Why wouldn't Picard be like, hey, Data, want to like write a note or something, or just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, remember how Picard says that they can like exchange like looks and they understand shit from all those episodes ago? So it just feels like somebody should have just left and done something. Because it wasn't like, oh, the ship needs to be reset or anything. The ship's nothing's happening to the ship.
Yeah.
It's because it's being manually changed or whatever by Data. It's not.
Yeah.
The Paxtons don't have the Paxtons. the Paxtons.
Paxtons.
Whatever.
Yeah.
They don't.
I also
it's just very
feel
flimsy.
Yeah, I also feel like I have this issue every time like anything in media pops up where it's like, oh, secret orders and like can't tell you and stuff like that. Like, you could just say, listen, I can't tell you what's happening, or like, listen, sir, you don't remember, but by your own orders I'm not allowed to tell you what happened. You know, I don't think that would be violating anything.
No,
Agreed.
it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Agreed 100%.
You could just be like, listen, something happened and you ordered me not to say it, otherwise the entire ship is, you know, in danger, so leave it alone. And like, hopefully you trust Data enough to believe him, which you should.
Well, apparently they don't, because they never fucking trust Data, even though he never does anything to prove them to like not trust him.
Yeah. Well, there was that one time where Dr. Sung like took over his body and he like.
But again, that wasn't Data. That was like Data's free will. He's not going to do anything to jeopardize the ship or anybody on it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the Dr. Sung stuff, that wasn't his free will. That was someone controlling him, right? So
yeah.
It just like, how long has Data been on this ship and known everybody, and they're still questioning his like judgment and loyalty, and I also like,
and still threatening to strip him down to his wires.
Yeah, and I think I'm also just like I'm disappointed the most in Picard and Geordi, because they were both so quick, and like Geordi's like Data's best friend, and like the way that they just like jumped right in of like, yep, well, Data's being
Well, the thing is like, I don't see it that way. I don't see them as like immediately jumping to conclusions. Like, to me
Picard jumps very quickly.
I don't think so. Like, because it's, to me, it's like they're doing everything in the episode to try to prove that Data didn't fuck with them, but like at every stop it's like very obvious that Data did something.
But like right from the beginning, Picard asks Geordi if he believes Data.
That's not at the beginning. He says, like, that's after Data presents that like really far-fetched theory of like why shit is weird.
But that's still within like the first 15 minutes of the like 10-15 minutes of the, that is within the first 10 minutes of the episode.
Well, he
I know this because I watched that last night.
Well,
that bit last night.
Well, he specifically asks that like does that theory make sense? And he's like not even a little bit. I'm shocked that he even like suggested it.
It just seems to snowball really quickly to me. That just immediate like
it is worth pointing out that as a directorial choice, in the scene where Data gives them the explanation on the bridge that, hey, you know, everything's weird, some wormhole stuff, right at the end of the scene it gives us a musical sting and close-up on Data to indicate to the audience that we should not trust what he's doing. It is a directorial choice, and it's something that the episode wants us to know from the get-go. And so it is going to roll into that assumption because the audience is already supposed to believe it.
The thing is, though, like, even from that, like, there's no point in this that Data would not have lied and made these decisions if there wasn't a good reason behind it. So, the fact that they just automatically jump to, like, what did he do? What has he done? Immediately negative.
But that's part of trying to figure out what the solution is.
Yeah.
If they know Data, but we know Data wouldn't do this shit unless there was a very good reason.
Yeah, that's why they're trying to figure it out. They're like,
but it seems like from the start, like it's not, oh, like, it doesn't seem like, oh, we have to figure out what Data is. It just feels like how do I explain? It just feels like they think he had bad intentions. Like, he's done this not to, like, Picard only comes to the conclusion that maybe Data did this to, like, protect them way late, like, basically at the end. So, but up until then, it feels like they're accusing him of doing something bad. Like, there is no, like, to me, it doesn't seem neutral.
Dory.
Yeah.
How many times has Data lied to them?
In this episode?
No.
I don't know. I didn't count.
How many times has Data lied to them before this?
In general?
Yes.
I don't know, but never, like, he only lies to them, in my memory, if he's been told to, or, you know, something really serious, or he doesn't lie willy-nilly. I can't give an exact number, obviously.
And that's bad.
But
that indicates that something is wrong, and they need to figure out what it is.
the problem for me is it doesn't seem like from them it's like, oh, we have to figure out what's wrong. We have to figure out, like, it felt like they were saying, like, Data, like, it felt like they were setting it up that, like, Data had malicious intent.
That's because
it was one
Data
thing
can
if
be
it was,
compromised in a different way.
Yeah, but even from once they know that, like, Data hasn't been, like, compromised, like, nothing's wrong with him physically, they're still suspicious. Like, it's one thing if, like, I felt they were, you know, oh, something's going on, and kind of was like, we have to just figure out what is going on. But it felt like there was, like, a side to it. It didn't feel like neutral, or like, okay, well, Data's acting, so we have to figure out what's wrong with Data, but, like, from Data's side, not like the innocent until proven guilty. It felt like it was immediately guilty until proven innocent. So that's what my issue is here, is it didn't feel like they were like, okay, well, Data's got to be doing this for some, like, you know, safety reason. It was like, it just felt very suspicious of Data. Does that make sense?
No, I do get that. But the point is that when somebody is lying to you, if you confront them with it, then they are immediately on to you that you know that they are not telling the truth, which can
I'm not saying
put
to
them in a defensive
confront like
position.
that. It just felt like from the start they weren't interested in, like, figuring out. It just felt very, like, one-sided. Like, they weren't like, okay, well, Data's obviously doing this for, like, I don't know how to explain it, because I'm obviously not doing a good job, but it just felt like it was coming from against Data versus, like, more of like, we need to he's like, there's obviously, like, there was something wrong, but it just felt like they were more against Data versus, like, trying to figure out, like I don't know, it just felt like immediately everybody turned against him, and it didn't feel like it was with what's like a good faith, if that makes any sense. It just immediately felt like, well, Data's lying. He has done something to, like, bad towards, like, the crew or the ship. It didn't feel like, oh, okay, well, obviously Data's lying, so there's something wrong in general. They made it seem like Data was the villain, and that's what my problem is. They weren't like,
Okay.
oh, something's wrong, we got to figure out because Data's lying, which is weird. It was just like,
I think
Data's
putting it in
lying, so he's bad.
I think putting it in the context
Like
of
that.
making Data to be the villain, yeah, I can definitely agree
That's
with
what
that. That
what
is
my
the
issue
episode is
was.
doing.
Because it just felt very, like, one-sided, which, like, to me just felt shitty. Because it's one thing if they were like, okay, something's, like, it was sort of like the tone and how the writing of this episode, it did not feel like, okay, well, obviously something's up because Data's lying and that's not normal, we have to help and figure out, like, what's wrong. It didn't feel like, oh, we have to help. It just was like
No, you're definitely right in that Data was made out to be the villain.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
that.
I think,
and I hate that.
yeah, I think with
They
that
do that
explanation
too often.
is, like, I think so for me, hearing you explain it, I think for me, I think the episode, I definitely agree with you. It made Data out to be a villain, but I think the characters in the episode, like, I think the characters themselves weren't like trying to jump to Data is the villain, but but I think everything surrounding the episode made it out to be that way.
Especially the directing. Holy shit.
Yeah, the directing, like the music choices, the way everything is framed up and what they've, like, just the whole setup and everything. But when I examine the characters' behavior, to me it doesn't seem like they're jumping to conclusions.
For Picard, it felt like it did, because he automatically just, like, maybe not this first, like with Geordie's, like, do you believe him? Like, because that sounds like bullshit, but like, it does feel like Picard, it's very pointed throughout the episode until Picard finally comes to the conclusion, oh, maybe Data is lying because to protect us, or like there's something wrong. But it took that long for him to come to the conclusion of like, oh, maybe like Data is not lying to hurt us, it's to help us.
Yeah.
So
I think to me it's more like, I feel like Picard was just more, he was just preoccupied with finding out what happened, rather than examining like why Data would be doing this.
Yeah, I think he definitely, it feels like Picard jumped into like crime solving mode.
Yeah.
And it felt like he wasn't like rooted in what was actually happening. He just was like, all right, what's like the evidence? What's the clues? And he took away the like emotional, like the relationship he has with Data. And I don't think that was like, I think that was a mistake in the writing.
Yeah.
That they just sort of made him feel detached and was able to like, not accuse Data, but like, it just felt like Picard put his like, mystery solving skills. He got so excited that there was something to like solve. Also, on a side note, it felt like Dr. C did more of the fucking investigating than Picard. I'm going to be honest. She would put together more shit than anyone else. She did the trace stuff. She saw like the Moss stuff. Like,
Dory, I have a possible explanation for you, so I'm going to wander into background corner a little bit. And background corner is pretty small this time around. There isn't really a lot to be said about it, aside from the fact that this is one of the first outputs by writer Joe Menosky, who becomes a pretty large part of the Star Trek writing team going forward, especially in Voyager. Holy shit, he's responsible for more than a season worth of shit over there. But anyway, so the script was not actually written by anyone in the writer's room. This is a spec script. Do you know anything about those?
Yes, I went to film school.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dory's a writer, dude.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so Star Trek during this period in time especially was well known for being open to spec scripts. They had an open door policy towards it, and they would look at them. And in several occasions, they have been turned into episodes. I think a couple of them before this, but I'm basically explaining to show that I know what I'm talking about. Also, so that our listeners know. Hey, all three of you, now you know. This was a spec script that I can't remember what the guy's name who was that wrote it, but it's his only submission to Star Trek, and it was originally submitted like at least more than a year before it was filmed. So you have to keep in mind how much of Star Trek had actually been seen by the time that he was writing this.
So basically, like, it's using, like, outdated character information.
Yeah, like they were maybe in the middle of season 2 when this was finished being written, at best, I would say.
Then they should have adjusted for that.
Yeah. Why would they have not?
Yeah, Joe Menosky definitely didn't really adjust for that. Apparently, he didn't change very much. What he did was cleaned up dialogue, but the actual story didn't really change.
Because, like, I think, like, in general, the concept I'm interested in. I like the Picard, gets to solve a mystery. I just feel like this mystery was fucking weak.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is completely fair.
I feel like this episode follows what seems to be now tradition of TNG so far, of like building up a whole thing and then have a very anticlimactic bummer and like of an ending.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually just how TNG ends too.
No, don't tell me that.
Yep.
No.
I disagree with that.
No, sorry, I don't mean the series. I mean TNG as a whole concept with Nemesis.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were like telling me the finale is bad. Like, no.
I won't tell you anything about the finale until we get to it.
Good.
Yeah.
It just like I feel like there's potential and there's ideas, but they either like they don't want to commit to like something or like bolder, or they just are like, well, we've done 3/4 of the episode. How do we want to fucking end this? Anyone
Yeah.
got any suggestions? Anyone in the building got any suggestions? Like, hey, anybody in the hallway got any?
They wanted to do a sci-fi ending, so they did. And that's the thing that you have to kind of accept about sci-fi, unfortunately, that sometimes they're not really good at telling, or they're focused more on what the message of their idea is than how feasible the in-universe solution actually is.
Yeah. But this episode didn't have a message.
Well, the message was about humanity wanting to solve mysteries.
Yeah. I guess that's true.
Still
Yeah,
a
that's
bit
the thing is like creating a mystery with a satisfying conclusion is hard. And
It is.
they seemingly don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, they know how to do it. They just don't often do it.
Because,
Yeah.
like, here's the thing. I totally understand the, like, the mystery-solving bit of it. Like, literally, I'm about to start a job as a researcher. So, that was, like, something I liked a lot about my old job, is someone would be like, hey, this was a this, and I'd be like, oh, abso-fucking-lutely it was not, and let me prove to you by what you're saying is nonsense. So, like, I do love, like, some problem-solving and investigative, shit. But this just felt, as I love to use to describe Star Trek episodes, slappy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they could have done better. And they gave me like a little bite of like holodeck Dixon Hill shit, which honestly, if they just did the entire episode of Picard and Guinan just solving shit in like the Johnny murder in the holodeck, oh, that would have made me so happy.
Picard and Guinan Mystery Hour.
I would love that. God, her green outfit was incredible. I'd be thinking about that for a while. Yeah, I feel like they could have done better with the conclusion and these like, and the funny thing, the thing that I found the funniest of the whole bit is that the reason they're able to figure shit out is because they were sloppy and like trying to prevent themselves from dying. So they left a bunch of clues so they could figure it out. I mean, obviously not on purpose, but like they, I don't know, they didn't like, I mean, obviously in that moment, they're not like thinking, oh God, we have to like do all this shit and like quick fix Worf's wrist or something. Yeah. When did they fix Worf's wrist actually?
Oh,
because
when,
like it seems
when
like
she
that
threw him. When Troy threw him.
That's she broke it and fixed it at the same
No.
Oh, no, they fix it at some other point.
Yeah, during the whole day when they were covering their tracks like poorly the first time, Dr. Crusher treated his wrist.
Because it kind of felt like to me that like they didn't really have the whole day. It felt like they were like, okay, so it'll take the Paxsons like a day to get their shit organized. But to me, it kind of felt like, okay, once they had this conversation, the crew passed out again and Data was like left awake to like reset
Well, that's because
shit.
it was a flashback.
But yeah, I know. But like, I guess logically they probably did have the whole day. But like, then if they had the whole day, they fucking did a shitty job of like covering their tracks.
Yeah.
So then like,
yeah, you know what? Yeah.
it's disappointing, but then also just like hokey and kind of silly because the reason this whole episode happened is because they didn't do a good enough job like scrubbing what happened, and so then they have to do it again because they didn't do a good enough job the first time.
Yeah,
they're like, don't kill us, give us a second chance to not figure out what the fuck happened.
I mean, that's pretty much what happened.
Just, oh my God.
What's
So
funny
dumb.
is that I usually quite like this episode.
I did enjoy it.
Yeah. I I like the mystery solving episodes, even if like I've just accepted that the ending's not going to be satisfying, but I like the process of them figuring stuff out.
Yeah,
I think the difference is that this time we're going into it with a more critical eye rather than a let's sit and watch this, because this is definitely not an episode that even before this I would have chosen to say highlight what TNG is about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is like, it's definitely a decent episode to just have on.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like have on in the background, or like you're bored and it's like, I can watch this. This is fine.
I mean, I'm okay to never watch this episode again. Like, I don't think it's like the worst, but it was like, I don't care for it. I'm good to be done with it forever.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Maggie, that like I like the mystery stuff, and like I'm very happy if they do more. Mm-hmm. Just like, we know they're capable of good storytelling. We get to see a good episode every now and then. And so we know they can fucking do it. It's just, it feels just a matter of like, honestly, it feels like just like some episodes the writers are excited for and they like put in the effort, and then some they're like, it's the middle of the season, let's just throw it in there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just filler. Like, it feels like it shows.
Yeah. Considering they used like a year-old or couple-year-old spec script, they're probably just like, we need something for this week.
Yeah, this was I can't remember what was going on when they decided to pick this, but like in the background information I was reading something about there being some sort of break or lockout or whatever that was preventing lots of writing from going through. I don't remember the details. It did not really give me very much, and I didn't look any further into it. But the point is, this may have just been to fill shit up.
Yeah. Oh, here's an unrelated question. So is this like a thing, or is this a good idea that like the Paxson's like thing to like prevent people from finding them is to do a wormhole and then send them off somewhere? Is this like a common thing? Is this like
You mean, do other races do this? No.
Okay,
No.
So it's just these guys. And would it this might be a stupid question, but like how does one control a wormhole?
Well,
they can,
you
decide to
don't.
bring it up.
You
well,
don't.
they don't make an actual wormhole. They just make it appear as though they've been through a wormhole.
Yeah.
Like they make the ship's computers and stuff tell them they've been through a wormhole.
As far as I know, Dory, throughout Star Trek, there is only one species that we ever meet that can control a wormhole. Mm-hmm. And they live beyond our dimension, so they kind of have special abilities that way.
Ooh, is this something that we meet in TNG?
I won't tell you anything more about it. You will eventually find out as long as we continue.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. That's a wild power to be able to control wormholes.
I mean, it's not that they have it's not that, their power is controlling wormholes. It's just, it is a thing that they do.
Still, that's cool.
Yeah. It's a pretty big plot point when it comes up, so I'm really not going to go into any other details about it, but it's neat. Okay, so now that we've thoroughly gone into the actual resolution of this, and they've decided, okay, well, we just got to make sure that there's no clues. Okay? That's all fine and dandy. Troy, are they just going to remove her mental trauma?
Yeah.
Is that a thing you can just do?
Like, obviously, whatever they did to her had some weird after effect. How are they going to combat that?
Yeah. Because
Like,
she's pretty fucked up.
Like, how are they going to make it so she doesn't, like, feel fucked up
so she can
again?
look in the mirror?
Yeah. I guess they
my
figured it
guess
out.
My guess is nothing, because they never do anything about any of her trauma.
Oof.
They're just going to be... they'll just be like... it'll be like what she says. It'll be like before they figured out what it was. She'll just be like, oh, it's just like unfocused. That's weird. And just like be freaked out, but then they're like, well, we can't figure out what's actually, like, doesn't seem like anything's actually wrong. And they'll probably just leave it till it wears off, I guess, assuming it's got to wear off, because I assume between now and forever, Troy looks in a mirror again.
Yeah.
So, I would
No,
assume
actually,
they would just
this is part of her character for the rest of the show. No, I'm kidding.
she can never look in a mirror again. Yeah, I honestly assume they just do nothing.
And you're probably
She
right.
just lets it wear off and wonders to herself, and because she never seems to want to impose on anyone, she probably keeps it to herself.
Well,
That's my guess.
well, time for favorite moments.
My favorite moment is when Troy sees a different face in the mirror. It wasn't me, Worf. It wasn't me. I'm kidding.
I liked the Dixon Hill stuff. Guinan, get her in all the holodeck stuff. It was great to see Guinan again. I want the white sunglasses. I liked seeing Worf, Riker, Geordi, and Troy do the Klingon Tai Chi. That was very cute. I liked that Geordi really had a focus on why their beards didn't grow.
Yeah.
Throughout the day. That was interesting. I don't know. I like Dr. C got to do a bunch of shit this episode.
Yeah.
And okay, it's not my favorite, but I did get a laugh when Troy threw Worf.
Yeah.
Broke his wrist. It's not great, but I don't know. I did get a little like lulz out of it just because like she's just like she threw him like he was nothing.
Yeah.
And I do like Worf goes to see Dr. C, and she's like, "What's up, Worf?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing. Never mind. I'm gonna leave." And then she's like, "Worf?" And then he's like, "Okay, well, a warrior does not complain about physical discomfort, but the captain ordered us to report anything out of the ordinary."
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, his wrist was fucking broken. That's pretty out of the ordinary. So I liked that, and yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah. I don't really have nothing super stands out to me in this, I guess, except that I guess it's funny that this is all basically Dr. C's fault, because Picard was like fully just happy to like be like, "Oh, that was weird, moving on, I guess." But she insisted with her plants, with her moss, that it's like, no, like something fucked up is happening. We have to. She basically insisted that they figure this out.
Well, I kind of assumed that like the reason like that nobody touched those things is like that's partially why I thought that like the crew was like out during that like day, and like Data had to reset everything, because like would Dr. C like against all this shit be like, "No, my experiment is more important. I need to leave it."
No,
Because
like,
that would be
I think she was probably
like
just
let it
too,
grow through the day.
She was probably just too busy to remember that it's like, oh, I should deal with that, so that's not suspicious. She
I don't
probably
know,
just
that
forgot.
feels, I don't know. Her forgetting doesn't seem as like likely to me, but I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
This episode's logic is pretty flimsy.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. My favorite moment is what do you call it? The camera dolly that they do around the bridge when everyone's standing up, and for some reason they're focusing on that one con officer who gets like a single line in the whole episode.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just this, I don't know, like slightly done up, like really pretty young woman. And I don't know why, but they're focusing on her the whole time, even though she's not doing anything except coming to her senses. So, yeah, that was my favorite moment because I didn't understand why they were doing it. And I'm looking at her, waiting for her to do something. And then the shot changes. And I'm like, oh, okay, that was a really long dolly. What's going on?
Maybe there was like more to her character, but it just kind of got cut out of the episode.
It's possible that they wanted her to be like the next thing, because I told you that the con officer on the bridge thing is something they wanted
Oh,
to
yeah.
establish, and they just never ended up really doing that.
Yeah, they wanted a new Wesley.
Yeah, they did. But it was still quite amusing to me. And you know what? I just want to point out what I was really disappointed by in this episode. I wanted to see them erasing their clues.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
All right. So if that's it, let's move on to predictions for the next episode. So, the next episode is called First Contact.
Ooh.
Yeah. And maybe for whether Dory, if you know this or not, or if anyone in our audience knows this or not, First Contact is usually, in the Star Trek context, referred to when you encounter a new alien race for the first time. So it's your first contact with them.
It's specifically when you deliberately make contact with them.
Yes, yeah.
So Dory, as an example, the stepping stone in humanity within the Star Trek universe is supposed to be in the mid the mid 2000 decade, the 2060s, when humanity meets the Vulcans, because while the Vulcans have been watching us for some time, they finally decide to land and say hello. So
Yeah.
that is first contact.
Yeah, and that's like the turning point. That's like when we get introduced to space travel.
That's when we get good.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, or warp space travel, rather. So, in this episode, Riker has been undercover on a planet. Now they cannot find him, and they have to figure out how to get him back from this race of people that does not know that alien life exists yet.
Okay.
So basically, it's like, what's happened and what do they do?
So I guess, like, I would assume Riker's gone down to, like, see what their level of technology and shit would be. See if they're, like... if the rest of them can, like, make because, like, they're not supposed to, like, talk to... they're not supposed to interfere with, like, pre-war people, right?
Yeah.
That was, like, the prime directive. So maybe this is, like, Riker's gone down to evaluate to see if they are what their levels are and if it's safe to, like, do for, like, the rest of the Enterprise to, like, come down, because maybe this is, like, they either, like, have some kind of resource that would be really helpful to, like, the Federation, or, like, maybe this should be a group that we should, like, have them join, but we need to, like, assess first. But maybe because they don't know the Federation, they think that, like, Riker is maybe there on behalf of, like, an enemy, like someone, maybe there's, like another planet, or maybe, like, there's not on another planet, but, like, maybe there's, like, something else,
like a different government,
like another,
or something.
Yeah, like a different group or something on the planet, and they think maybe he's, like, an enemy, that he's undercover there to, like, get the information on their resources for the other side, not realizing he's there as, like, to be friendly, I guess. So they are, maybe this group is, like, more advanced than, like, they realized. So they have now, they think that Riker is betraying them, or, like, he was sent in to, like, steal their secrets. Yes.
All right, cool. So, and you think that he's, like
not there to steal their secrets.
Been captured or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think he's been put in jail.
Okay.
And then he has to do a jailbreak.
All right.
Oh my God, wait. Can you imagine the Enterprise crew has to, like, get Riker out of jail? That would be a twist. I'm going to keep that in the prediction for LOL.
All right. Jailbreak episode. So, if you'd like to see if Dory's correct, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.